looks at how to obtain question analysis for the whole cohort or individual groups. So once the students have sat the exam and you've put in their marks, it's now time to analyse, and we can do it for results of a group by looking at the group and taking individual students within that group, or we can just search for an individual student. But often it's better to look at the group because you'll see the individual scores and you'll see who's underachieved, who's been value added and who's on target. So we're going to look at a group just for example, and now we're going to go to find a group. So let's find a foundation maths group. This one's a big group of 105, so it's almost like a whole cohort, and that's all the different mocks they sat. And there's that November 2019 paper that we looked at earlier. So they sat that paper as a mock rather than a public exam, and so it's going to be loading up the students' results now and processing it from that spreadsheet that you put in. While it's loading up, there's also an opportunity to import or export all the material, so you can actually get it as a kind of spreadsheet with all the marks in a different way, which I'll show you later, and you can print it. But there's all your students, so we can go up and down our class and say on that particular, this is obviously paper 1, but you can choose the different papers. This student here didn't do very well, only got 19 out of 80, so let's have a look at that student in a bit more detail. Let's see what question. So again, there's the 3 papers that student sat. They got 24%, 14% and 21%, but this is, again, you can choose which different paper. This is the first paper, and again we got some the ramped papers, hopefully not too good at the beginning, 0% as a what these residuals are. Now this is an interesting feature. You can edit the comparison of how that student compared with students who sat that exam when it was a public exam. So we're actually comparing with students across the country that took that November 2019 paper. But supposing this student is quite weak within that class, that foundation class, and they're really operating at grade 3. They want to get a 4, but they're operating at grade 3. So we could be aspirational and say, well, let's compare you with students who got the 4, or let's compare it with students who are roughly of your ability. So I'll put the 3 in, and suddenly the residuals, well, haven't changed much here, but they will change the residuals according to how. So if you touch it, that tells you that the student actually did worse than 76% of the country on that question of students of that ability. So what they can't say was, you're comparing me with students who got a 5 or a 1. I'm comparing it with students like for like. So really, for you, that's not a very good question for students of your ability or assumed ability going for the 3. This one here is good. You did 38% better than students of your ability on that question 3. Now you might think, what is question 3? And so if you touch the skills map, the little icon here with the 3 symbols, then that's applying 4 operations. I will show you the skills map in a bit more detail, but that just gives you a quick kind of picture. So with the student with the paper next to them, at least you know which skills areas they have done very badly. This is obviously a very weak student. So that's one thing. So that's just the analysis. The exam docs are really a repeat of what we already got, but you've got the principal examiner's report there as well, which could be quite revealing. Thanks for your attention. I hope you found it useful. See the Pearson ResultsPlus web pages for further advice and user guides.